So my next recipe is a cheesy pearl barley recipe I found online. So there we have 300 grams of pearl barley, and that's now covered with 700 millilitres of stock. Now that's homemade vegetable stock I've got there, but the previous time I've made these I used homemade chicken stock that I had available. The recipe that I had then states that you should put it in a pressure cooker and cook it for an hour to get the pearl barley to work well. The previous time I did this, I put it in my rice cooker, which is what I've done there, and it said I put it in for an hour and a half, and it wasn't quite cooked to perfection. So this time I put it in for 2 hours, just to make sure that it's cooked right. So after 2 hours, I've transferred it to a saucepan, and that is 1 can of butter beans or cannellini beans, whichever beans you've got available, washed and rinsed. That's 200 grams of cherry tomatoes cut in half. Now, I had actually transferred my pearl barley from the rice cooker to the saucepan and let it sit, so my pearl barley was a little stiff, so now I just had to mix these together just to try and free up the pearl barley and also to mix in the beans and the tomatoes. So it took a couple of minutes doing that. I then added 300 grams or about, this is my homemade tomato sauce, so it's roughly about 300 grams, but I would say roughly about 300 to 400 millilitres, so like maybe a packet of passata would be good for you. So I mixed that in just because I needed to loosen up the pearl barley a little bit, and also give it a little bit of a colour as well. I then added 70 grams of, well, the recipe says 70 grams of Parmesan, but I didn't have Parmesan, so that's just 70 grams of cheddar cheese grated. Mix that in as well. By the way, this saucepan is on heat. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is actually heating the food up as well. And then the next part is 100 grams of spinach. Now, my local supermarket did not have spinach, so the couple of times I've tried it, I've put kale in. Now, granted, understandably, the spinach is supposed to wilt down, so I mixed this in, and then got it as well mixed as I possibly could, gave it a bit of a taste. And then I put in some salt and pepper. A bit of salt, well, quite a lot of salt because there's a lot of pearl barley there, and a lot of pepper as well. Mix that in. Then I put the lid on it and I let it heat up with the lid on for about 10-15 minutes, so it could either wilt down the kale or basically cook it off a little bit better. And then here we go, plating up hot steaming pearl barley with cannellini beans, tomato and kale. And for the record, that amount that I made there got me this bowl that I'm just plating up here and 4 subsequent meals. So there you go. More cheddar cheese on top for garnish. And then a little bit of chopped parsley. And that's my cheesy pearl barley recipe.